Hello everyone and welcome back to Mysterious Murmurs. I know many of you use these videos to fall asleep, so before you drift off I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story name: The Star That Swallowed the Night. It started with the sky. A small thing at first. Tommy Grainger was sitting on his back porch, drinking a root beer and swatting at mosquitoes, when he noticed something wrong with the stars. One of them was missing. Not flickering. Not hidden behind a cloud. Just gone, like someone had taken an eraser and scrubbed it right out of existence. Tommy wasn't an astronomer. He barely passed science class back in high school, and that was a long time ago. But he knew the sky. He'd grown up in the small town of Black Hollow, where the nights were quiet and the stars stretched forever. And he knew, deep in his gut, that something wasn't right. He kept watching, his brow furrowing. Another star blinked out. And then another. Within minutes, a black hole had formed in the night sky. Not an actual black hole. Not the kind he'd seen in science magazines, but a dark, spreading emptiness. A space where no light existed, no stars, no moon. Nothing. Tommy felt his stomach twist. That wasn't normal. That wasn't right. A low, uneasy hum filled the air, like a distant radio signal cutting in and out. His teeth ached from the sound, deep in his jaw. And then, from the darkness above, something moved. Not a plane. Not a bird. Something big. Something slow. Something that wasn't supposed to be there. Tommy bolted inside, slamming the door behind him. He stood in the kitchen, chest heaving, staring out the window. The sky kept disappearing. Piece by piece, the night was being swallowed whole. And whatever was eating it was coming closer. Tommy locked the doors. He wasn't sure why. What good was a deadbolt against the sky disappearing? His hands were shaking as he grabbed his phone, fumbling to open the weather app. Maybe there was some kind of eclipse happening, something weird with the atmosphere. But there was no signal. No Wi-Fi. He turned on the TV. Static. The radio? Dead air. Something was blocking everything. His breath came fast and shallow. Outside, the darkness was spreading, slow and steady, devouring the stars one by one. Then he heard it. A low, rumbling sound, so deep it made his ribs vibrate. Not thunder. Not wind. Breathing. Something was breathing up there. Tommy's knees nearly gave out. He turned off all the lights, his heart hammering. He didn't know why, just instinct, something primal that told him whatever was in the sky shouldn't see him. And then, a shadow passed over the moon. Not a cloud. Not a plane. Something massive. Something with legs. Tommy clamped a hand over his mouth to keep from screaming. The thing in the sky, whatever it was, had just blotted out half the moon with a single movement. And the air felt wrong now, heavy like before a storm, thick with something that smelled like burned metal. Then came the first scream. Not from him. From down the street. Tommy ran to the window, pressing his forehead against the cold glass. Mrs. Calloway, the old woman who lived alone 3 houses down, was standing in her front yard in her nightgown. Her head was tilted back, her mouth open in a soundless wail. Her face was twisted, frozen in an expression of absolute terror. And then, she rose into the air. Not like she was floating. Not like she was being lifted. Like something had grabbed her. Tommy saw her legs kicking, her arms flailing. Then she was gone. swallowed by the darkness above. The silence that followed was worse than the scream. Tommy's stomach clenched. The sky wasn't just disappearing. It was feeding. And it was still hungry. Tommy stumbled back from the window, his heart slamming against his ribs. His hands were slick with sweat. His whole body felt wrong, like his bones were vibrating under his skin. Mrs. Calloway was gone. No blood. No body. Just taken. He wanted to scream, but he bit it down. Screaming wouldn't help. Running wouldn't help. Something was hunting. The street outside was silent. No barking dogs. No distant hum of late-night TV. Even the wind had stopped. The air felt thick, like the whole world was holding its breath. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Right outside his house. Tommy turned off the porch light, pressing himself against the wall, barely daring to breathe. He could hear them now, shuffling steps on the gravel driveway. A shadow passed over the window. Someone was out there. No, something. A shape moved past the porch. Wrong. Limbs too long, head tilted at an unnatural angle, like it was listening. Tommy's throat tightened. The thing stopped. It turned, slowly facing his house. 3 soft taps. Polite. Patient. Tommy clenched his fists. Don't answer. The doorknob rattled. The thing exhaled, a long, slow breath that fogged the glass of the window. A voice. Not a growl. Not a screech. Something worse. Something almost human. Tommy. His stomach dropped. It knew his name. He swallowed hard, pressing himself further against the wall. Maybe if he stayed quiet, it would leave. Tommy, the voice came again. Softer. Come outside. The air turned cold. His skin prickled. Something heavy shifted above the house. The roof groaned as if under an impossible weight. Tommy's breath caught in his throat. There was more than one of them, and they were waiting. Tommy's legs felt like cement, but his heart was trying to punch its way out of his chest. Something was on the roof. The weight of it made the ceiling creak, the nails straining in the wood. He could hear scraping, long, deliberate drags of something sharp against the shingles. And the thing at the door? It wasn't knocking anymore. It was just standing there, waiting. Tommy. The voice was closer now. It sounded almost right, like a voice he should recognize, like someone from town, maybe the guy at the gas station or the old librarian. But there was something underneath it, something stretched and broken, like a record playing just a little too slow. The thing on the roof moved again. The whole house shuddered. Tommy backed away, his foot catching on the corner of the coffee table. The lamp rattled, nearly tipping over. The voice outside laughed. It had heard him. The doorknob turned. Slowly. Tommy ran. Through the kitchen, past the table where his unfinished dinner still sat. He needed a weapon. A knife. Something. The back door. He could make it to his truck. He had the keys in his pocket. If he could just... Bang. The front door slammed open. A rush of air blasted through the house, thick and freezing, carrying the scent of burned metal and something rotten. Tommy didn't look back. He bolted for the back door, gripping the handle, yanking it open, and stopped. The yard was gone. Not in darkness. Not hidden in shadow. Just gone. A vast, empty nothingness stretched beyond the door. No trees. No grass. No sky. Like the world had been erased. Tommy staggered backward, his stomach twisting into a tight, painful knot. Turn. and they were inside. Tolfinra. Their limbs moved like puppets on invisible strings, jerky and weightless. Their skin was pale and stretched too tight. Their faces were smooth, no eyes, no nose, no mouths. Just blank. And yet, he knew they were watching him. "Where do you think you're going, Tommy?" The voice came from nowhere and everywhere. It wasn't coming from their faces. It was coming from the hole in the sky. From the place where the stars had been. A long, pale hand reached for him. Tommy tried to scream, but the night swallowed it whole. And the next morning, Black Hollow was gone. Not destroyed. Not burned to the ground. Just missing. A vast, empty stretch of land where the town had been, where roads led to nowhere, where houses had stood just the night before. And above it all, a hole in the sky, still growing. And if you listened closely, you could still hear the breathing. Waiting. Hungry. The sun rose over nothing. Where Black Hollow had been, there was now only an emptiness. A perfect, unnatural void stretching for miles. No buildings. No roads. No people, just an eerie silence, as if the town had never existed at all. But some people remembered. At the gas station 15 miles out, Earl Mason rubbed his eyes and stared at the map behind the counter. He had lived in this town his whole life. He'd driven through Black Hollow just yesterday. But now it wasn't there. The map still showed the town. The highway signs still pointed toward it. But when you followed the road, it just ended. Earl didn't understand. His hands shook as he poured himself another cup of coffee. He turned on the radio, flipping through static until he caught the morning news. There was nothing about Black Hollow. Not missing. Not destroyed. Just never mentioned at all. Earl's stomach twisted. Something was wrong. 3 states over, in a dimly lit apartment, a woman named Lisa Calloway woke up screaming. She wasn't sure why. Her dreams had been full of stars vanishing one by one, a creeping darkness swallowing the night. She had seen people she didn't know, their faces stretched and blank, their bodies moving in unnatural, jerking motions. And someone had been calling a name. Not hers. Tommy. She sat up, wiping sweat from her forehead. The details of the dream slipped through her fingers, but one thing remained. An awful, suffocating feeling that something was still watching her. She reached for her phone, trying to shake the fear. She flipped through the news, looking for something, anything, to distract her. Then she froze. The stars outside her window were wrong. A small, empty hole had appeared in the night sky. No light, no flickering, just missing. Lisa's breath caught. She felt it deep in her bones. It wasn't over. Somewhere, the star that swallowed the night was still hungry. And it was spreading. If you've enjoyed this journey into the unknown, don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments below. Have a tale of your own or a legend you'd like us to explore? Let us know. You might just hear it next. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story. Because here the darkness is always waiting just for you.